This is lesson 10-1, areas of parallelograms and triangles. A lot of the material in this should just be a review for you. First thing we're going to start off easy is area of a rectangle. So you know that a rectangle has all right angles, opposite sides are congruent and parallel. So the area of a rectangle is the product of its base and height. And product, of course, means to multiply. So the area of a rectangle is the product of its base and height. So all you're going to do is take the base and multiply it by the height. We might have learned earlier length times width, but now we're going to use base and height because we're going to use other figures that don't have right angles in them, like the parallelogram, which is going to actually have the same formula. But area of a rectangle just equals the base times the height. B stands for base, H stands for height. A parallelogram. The area of a parallelogram is the product of a base and the corresponding height. Okay, is the product of a base and the corresponding height. It's worded a little bit differently because the base, you're going to see, doesn't necessarily have to be on the bottom here. So it's the product of the base and the corresponding height that goes with that base. Now notice the height is not the side of the parallelogram. The height is a line that's perpendicular to the base. But again, area equals base times height. In the rectangle, base times height, it doesn't matter if this is the base and this is the height, or this could have been the base and that would have been the height. You're still going to multiply those two sides together. A parallelogram, though, we're not multiplying the two sides, we're multiplying the base and the height is a line that's perpendicular to the base. Okay, so both of them have the formula base times height. And this is an explanation of what I mean by the bases. The base of a parallelogram can be any one of its sides. The corresponding altitude is a segment perpendicular to the line containing that base, drawn from the side opposite the base. The height is the length of the altitude. So this is how we normally say the base we use is the bottom base, and the altitude is the height. It's drawn perpendicular to the base. But suppose I wanted to use the side as a base. So if this is the base right here, the altitude is a line drawn perpendicular to that base. And we'll do some problems where we will use that instead. Okay, so here are two problems for you to try. You're going to find the area of each parallelogram. So you can write down the formula, area equals base times height. And then this one, we just have this base and the height. We're not going to use this base right here because we don't have the height that matches up to that base. So you're just going to multiply 5 times 4, and you can write down your answer and have that on your paper tomorrow. And then here in example B, okay, this is the base and this is the height. Okay, so whatever side, whatever height you have, you're going to use that base. So whatever base and height is given, those are the ones that you'll use. Sometimes you're going to be asked to find the missing dimension. This similar symbol right here means parallelogram. So for parallelogram ABCD, what is DE to the nearest tenth? DE is the height right here. Okay, well if I knew the area, I could just substitute in area equals base times height. I have the base, I don't have the height. I could call this X right here, but I don't have the area yet. But you can actually find the area because you have this base and this height. See how AD is a base and FC is a height. So if you were to multiply 13 times 9, okay, so do that out on your paper, 13 times 9, that's the area of the parallelogram. Well, the area of the parallelogram is the same whether you use 13 times 9, that base and height, or you use this base and height. So once you know the area, 13 times 9, then you're going to set that area equal to 9.4 times x. Okay, so try that, and it should look like this on your paper. First I find the area of parallelogram ABCD, then I use that area formula a second time to find DE. So again, you can always write down the formula base times height. Like I said, you're going to do 13 times 9 is 117. And since I know the area is 117, I'm substituting that in with the other base and height. So AB is 9.4 and DE was what I'm trying to find. Okay, and I get 12.4. Last formula we're going to do is area of a triangle. Area of a triangle is half the product of a base and the corresponding height. It's half the product. Product again means multiply, so you're going to multiply the base and the height, but this time you're going to take half. So area equals 1/2 base times height. Now remember, the base of a triangle can be any of its sides, and the corresponding height is the length of the altitude to the line containing that base. So if I want to do this problem right here, what's the area of this triangle? I'm going to start by writing the formula, 1/2 base times height. The base is 1 and the height is 5. But notice this 1 is in feet, so I actually have to convert that feet to inches. There's 12 inches in a foot. So instead of 1 foot, we can read this as 12 inches. So my formula is going to be 1/2 base times height. My base is 12 inches. My height is 5. So you can take half whenever you want. If you want to multiply 12 times 5 and then take half, that's okay. But find the area of that triangle and we'll check your answer tomorrow. And then sometimes I put together two figures. So if I want to find the area of an irregular figure, I have to find the area of each part of the figure. Okay, so for this one, I want to find the area of the triangle, so I use my triangle formula, 1/2 base times height. Now you might say, well, I don't have the base, but the bottom figure is a square, which means all sides are congruent. So if this side right here is 6, then this, which is also the base of my triangle, but also the side of the square, is going to be 6. So the area of the triangle is 1/2 of 6 times 8. The area of the square, a square is just like a rectangle or a parallelogram, it's base times height, but since the sides are the same, you can actually think of it as side squared, 6 times 6. And then I'm going to take those two areas and I'm going to add them together. Okay, so the area of the triangle is 1/2 base times height, like what I said, 1/2 of 6 times 8. The area of the square is base times height, 6 times 6. And then for the area of the figure, you're just going to add the triangle area and the square area together. Okay, and we'll practice some problems with that tomorrow.